Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite scouting podcast in the Dynasty/NFL Draft community. We are the Dummies Scouting Brief, part of the Dynasty Dummies Funhouse Podcast Network, the only network in town on the community. And, Matt and I are back. So we are back to talk about two players tonight, albeit maybe some decent players, maybe not. We'll get to that in a second. But first, Matthew, the beard looks good. How's life rolling for you?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Penn State fans are through their mind right now. We had Saquon, we had Miles Sanders, and now we have KJ Hamler, we presume. So you guys rolling with three, decent, relatively valuable prospects.
2021, Journey Brown.
Journey Brown. I would have said Ricky Slade too, but he gone.
Yeah, that Ricky never really panned out. No, 5-star. Penn State had 2 5-star guys come in the same year. Neither of them now play for Penn State.
Slade and
Justin Shorter, now a member of the University of Florida.
Gotcha. You could say Justin Fields too. He could be looped in that conversation.
Don't stop.
I know you do not like being reminded of Justin Fields, but he was a Nittany Lion before anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
But anyways, we are going to bring 2 more players tonight to give you guys some in-depth looks and ultimately, project them to not only the NFL, but to your dynasty team and to whether or not you should invest or avoid. And that is what we're going to do with our first player in the University of Cincinnati running back, Michael Warren. I'm not sure how much background info, Matt, if we have any, give it to us. If not, take us into your first looks on film.
So Michael Warren comes in at allegedly 5'11", 222, but either he's much bigger than 222 or he is much shorter than 5'11". I'm probably going to go with the latter. He's probably going to come in about 5'8.5". He was a 3-star recruit according to 24/7. He was the number 29 running back and the number 473 player nationally. 2016 Mr. Ohio.
So 2016 Mr. Ohio, probably his only accolade. Maybe you could loop in high school prom king. Probably about on the same level in the same distance.
I mean, Ohio has some good football players come out of there.
Yeah, they have some very good ones. So you mentioned it. The first thing I thought, if this dude's 5'11", I'm 6'4". And I'll tell you, sure as hell not 6'4". I'm 5'11 and 3/4. I've been the same height since I was 14. Fun fact. So 8 years later, I haven't grown an inch. And Michael Warren hasn't grown an inch since probably 8th grade, 9th grade, probably the same. I'm guessing he comes in 5'9", 230. I think he's going to be shorter. I think he's going to be heavier.
He's a big boy.
He is a round mofo.
Philip Rivers would call him a big hoss.
Rivers would have called him a lot of things because he's about the same, same overall skill level, talent as Rivers is right now. That's kind of what we're thinking on Warren. Don't know what that means.
Hashtag
burn. Interesting. Didn't know what that meant. But for me, I had a couple key takeaways from him. Not a very speedy or explosive guy. That is not the player you're going to get in Warren. However, he does run with a pretty low center of gravity. He's going to run through some arm tackles. You're not going to bring him down, on first touch because, he's 5'9", 230. He's got some decent leg churn, for a plotter guy. I actually saw a lot of consistent, solid reps in pass pro when he's asked to step up and fill a hole, because quite frankly, he fills the hole at 230 pounds. He's got some decent hand strength in there, pretty decent vision as a pass blocker. I don't know if he's going to be able to slide and meet, when defenses run a wide 9, the front 4 are going to be spread, twice as long as a normal. I don't know if he's going to be able to slide to meet the D end or if they run a stunt. Can he meet it? I don't think so, but he's decent when asked to fill a hole. Above average cutting horizontally. I didn't think he was bad in that area. A lot of people are going to say he's David Montgomery. ish because they think Montgomery is the non-athletic, non-cutter or cutter person who's not athletic. Let me get this straight. He is not. Montgomery is night and days better than Michael Warren, but that's going to be the extreme that he is. So, case in point, he's not bad. He's not a bad cutter. He can create a little bit on his own, but he does miss a lot of opportunities. He doesn't really avoid contact. That's the problem. When he cuts to an open hole. He doesn't cut to miss. Decent hands, but I don't think it's going to matter because he is not going to be on the fields unless it's 3rd and a centimeter. That's the only third down he's probably going to be on the field on. Other than that, personally for me, he's not going to be a contributor at the NFL level. You're going to think D'Angelo Henderson. At best, he's going to be late career CJ Anderson, not with the Rams. That was an anomaly, not with the Rams. Going to be the shorter, stocky third running back on a roster. So, Matt, if you had anything to add, does he project for you? Like, is there a chance?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's as a third option, as a change of pace, and he's not even great at short yardage. That's the whole thing. Like, he does way too much line slamming for me. I know we were talking about it pre-show, but one of the things that I saw a couple of times that he actually turns his back at the line and almost tries to push back while he's facing the wrong direction. Like, dude, you gotta look forward. I also questioned his vision a little bit. I thought he had better vision in the open field than at the line of scrimmage, but it was inconsistent at times at the line of scrimmage. It was more 2018 than 2019. I definitely think he improved in 2019 in his agility and his breaking of tackles. But he got tackled at the line of scrimmage a ton for a guy who's of his size. He can run through some arm tackles, but if you hit him low, he's going down. I know you said it too, but I thought his burst was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about, but I thought it was okay. He's probably got good speed for being close to 230 pounds. But I definitely saw some improvement with him in 2019, which is always something you want to see. I think he doesn't do a great job about picking up blitzers as well too. He has a hard time identifying where they're coming from. If he can get a hand on them, he's more of a speed bump than a blocker, but
which is okay at times. Like, they're not asked to be a left tackle. You're just asked to slow him down. So
sure,
I think I touched on that in a recent episode. That may have been a Dummies.
About Keyshawn Vaughn on Dummies.
Keyshawn Vaughn, that was it. So don't have to be a blockade, but his speed bump's okay. But you'd love to see the blockade. Obviously, there are guys who are excellent in that aspect.
Yeah, I thought he had good feet as well too for a guy of his size.
Feet as in shifting and creating for himself.
Yeah. I thought
obviously very decent for a guy who's 230 pounds. And if he's 5'10", I will be shocked.
Yeah, I will be too.
Shocked if he's 5'10".
I think his ceiling is 5'9".
He obviously has some decent traits, but his body's going to limit him. He's not going to get taller.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be a ton. He's just not a super projectable player, especially for dynasty rosters. Now, if he somehow ends up as an RB2, for his NFL team, maybe, but I just don't see that happening, especially with, how do I say it? The few possible good landing spots for running backs.
Yeah.
Let alone the good, possible places to be a handcuff. So, if he lands with the Jets and they cut everyone else except Le'Veon Bell, sure, I'll invest in the 4th round, but I think that's best case.
Yeah, I just think he's going to be a end of the bench kind of guy, last of the 53. He might even be inactive to start his career out. He might be a game day inactive, but
if John Kelly's going to be game day scratches, Michael Warren's going to be game day scratch.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out there.
Yeah, I think that's
big
fair.
John Kelly, but still.
No, he was good. I think Kelly just went to a really bad spot. Everybody knows that with Kelly. So
Bad spot, and I think he had a couple weed problems. One of which was public, and I think he probably had a couple others that did not get publicized. But that's beside the point. I'd be shocked if Warren gets drafted, especially with with the running back talent coming out this year, and even more so the talent coming out next year. I don't think Warren gets drafted. Maybe seventh round.
I thought he was going to be like a 6th round pick. I think someone's going to see some of that size speed combo. Maybe they'll have him lose 5-10 pounds, see what he can do from there. But I think someone will see something, but it's not going to be me.
Yeah, I mean, we see it every year. The 7th round always has a lot of the I have never heard of that running back before. Who is that dude? Never. Your guy Pete Guerrero, maybe he's going to be one of the later guys that gets picked. That I think a lot of folks are going to say, who the hell is that?
Oh, give me Pete Guerrero 10 times out of 10 over Chris Warren.
I set you up for that one. I wrote down 7th round, so maybe Warren slips
6th
there,
round is
either way.
6th round to UDFA. It's not really going to matter at that point.
Right. So don't let anyone talk you into Warren. But don't inflate the stock at all. Definitely not a bullish guy for us, and just somebody who's a roster filler for an NFL team. Definitely not your dynasty team. So that's Michael Warren. If you have any other questions, feel free to hit us up. Go, like we say, go turn on the tape and see what you think for yourself, because it's all subjective. And like Matt said, maybe a team does kind of like what they see out of a 230-pound guy with decent feet, decent pass pro, and who can catch the ball. But
yeah,
5'9", 230. I'm probably not going to put him out there on 3rd down. So that being said, and the guy riding the motorcycle behind me, we are going to our second player tonight. He is a wide receiver from Michigan, Mr. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Matt, hit me with the background info if you got any.
I've got some. He actually is from Michigan too. He's from Detroit, Mr. DPJ. And if you are calling him DVP on Twitter, please stop. It's DPJ. You're probably the same people who are calling Odell Beckham Jr. ODB, which is awful. That's old dirty bastard, but not Odell Beckham Jr. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, 6'2", 208. I believe he's actually 6'2", 208. I believe that wholeheartedly. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of Detroit. He was the number 1 ranked wide receiver coming into college and the number 12 player nationally. I think I saw on 24/7 he was their 460th player ever.
Ever. Out of how many? What's the
all prospects?
All of them. So obviously, that being said, stars don't matter. Let's get that on the table. I mean, they're great if finding players to start with. Stars don't matter after 3 years. That's for damn sure. So Matt, take me through what was some things that jumped out on tape? What does he do well? And then we'll get into the negatives a little bit later.
I thought he was really good at his body control. He had a couple nice fade route catches in the end zone. He does a good job about when he's not getting pressed, about using his footwork to get separation off the line of scrimmage. He's a good possession receiver as well, too. He had good hands. I don't remember seeing him having a single drop of the 5 games that I watched of him. He's a pretty solid guy. I think he's going to be a possession receiver at the next level. Does a good job hand fighting as well, too, downfield to get separation a little bit there as well, too. He's got good sideline awareness. He's a decent to above average pass blocker. That's something that I like to look at with wide receivers. Helps them stay on the field. I think he could be an asset in the red zone. He's obviously got not huge size, but I mean, I think Zach said that the average NFL wide receiver is about 6 feet tall, and he's 6'2", so definitely could be some red zone traits there. But Peoples-Jones, he just kind of strikes me as just a guy.
Agreed. I mean, there were some things that I liked. I thought he was a relatively physical player. Uses his hands pretty well. To not only grab some contested catches along the sideline, but also to fight off press. Here and there. I thought his releases with his feet were decent to above average. They weren't great, but they definitely weren't bad. So, I mean, I think that's some decent mold that his NFL receivers coach is going to have to work with. One of my favorite things is how well he works along the sideline. I think that's going to come in very, very handy. I don't see him creating a ton of separation. So if he can use the sideline as his friend, that's going to be awesome. That's going to help a lot. I didn't see him drop many, but I didn't love the way he caught the ball. I think he let it get into his body far too often, which that bothers me. But if you can catch it, sure, who cares?
He didn't have a lot of help from the quarterback the whole lot either.
Agreed. But when it did hit him in the chest, it literally wanted to hit his chest. He didn't, make the triangle. He didn't catch it and snag it all the time out in front of him. While we're on the subject, Shea Patterson, horrible pass. He
needs to do a reverse Ryan Tannehill.
Go back to receiver.
Yes.
How tall is Patterson? He's got to be 6'2", right?
He's and he can move too. He could play.
Yeah, he's thick.
Yeah.
He's not a skinny guy. So yeah, sure. Send Shea to let's see him in a roughneck uniform playing receiver in a couple of years. Let's go.
Or a Rough Rider jersey at that. Maybe he'll go to the CFL.
Either way, dude's not going to be an NFL quarterback.
He's the camp arm if he is.
Anyway, back to what did we say? DNP,
DPJ,
DP, or no? What?
It's literally his initials.
What did they say?
Oh, DVP. I've heard
DVP. That's right. Gotcha. That was it. So back to DVP. Donovan Peoples. Apparently, I didn't think he was super quick. I think his 3-cone is definitely going to be +7. It's going to be over 7. Run blocking, I said run blocking won't be bad, and I had that as a pro. So, not bad, not great. And he played a lot out of the slot. He's going to be like a Marquise Lee type asset. Are you wanting to roster Marquise Lee? No. Are the Jaguars? Yeah, sure. We'll have Lee as our 4th guy who can play in the slot.
They're going to cut him. They're going to cut him.
Well, yeah, they're going to cut Lee, but, Peoples-Jones could be that next Marquise Lee type. And I literally didn't have a comp for him, and I don't think that's the comp, but he could play that role.
Yep.
So he's going to be that type of asset for both the NFL and Dynasty teams. I'm not down. I wouldn't say I'm up on Peoples-Jones. I'm not down on him. He is what he is. He's got some projection. He could be valuable in a good spot. If he lands in a pass-happy situation, who needs, Minnesota wouldn't be a bad spot for him to kind of be that 3rd guy to help Diggs and Thielen. I know he kind of fits that mold if they're not big receivers, but can kind of play all over. I think he could be a decent fit there. Obviously, anybody who can catch the ball needs to go to Philly. Could be a Houston fit where he plays, alongside Hopkins, and when Fuller plays his 4 games a year and Kiki when he plays his 3 games a year. Sure, I'd love to see DVP in Houston. I'm going to start, Matt's rolling his eyes. I'm going to start saying that every time now. But yeah, so he's not going to be in my top 10 guys. I'm not really looking to spend a rookie pick on him unless the situation's perfect.
I think he could be interesting maybe as a 3rd round rookie pick. I think draft capital should say a lot about him as well too. We've seen well documented
Bleacher Report writers.
Yes, well, Bleacher Report writers have him as a 1st round draft pick, which is wild. I know people are going to say that, his college production, you can't say a whole lot because of their quarterback situation. It wasn't that bad. He had a lot better situations than some of these other guys. His situation was better than, I'm not a big fan of the guy, but of Raygor, I would rather have Peoples-Jones' situation than Raygor's situation. So,
agree. And we're not saying we'd have Peoples-Jones over Rager because
no,
I'm not a Jalen Rager fan, and Rager's going to be above Donovan Peoples-Jones for me.
Yes, correct.
100%. Unless Rager runs a 4.7,
but it's not
Peoples-Jones and Peoples-Jones runs a 4.4. But that's not going to happen in the history of football ever. So we're going to get that right. But just know how bad Michigan's situation was. It's going to be the worse. Could have been worse, but it's starting to be the new USC, where if people see a Michigan receiver, they're like, "Oh, no, Peoples-Jones and Amara Darboh." They're going to be those kind of guys who are
Mario Manningham.
Manningham had his time. I'd say he's the best of the bunch.
Braylon Edwards.
All right, Edwards is that's too far back. In the last 10 years, I can't really name a Michigan receiver who had a ton of success. So, but still, scout the player, not the helmet.
Yeah.
But I think Peoples-Jones is interesting. Like you said, draft capital is going to be huge. Where do you think he falls? Is he a late round 3 pick?
I think I could see that like a late day 2, early day 3 guy. But there's also so much talent available this year at wide receiver that I think that could hurt him. I think his 40 time is going to say a lot about him. I think he's going to be somewhere in the mid 4.5s, the low 4.5s. I just don't see a great athlete, but he's got good hands. He's not bad. I just don't think
Agreed.
I just don't think there's anything special about him.
Agreed. Not going to be. He doesn't jump off, but he doesn't jump off for the wrong reasons either.
Yeah.
He's literally a guy who can fill a role. We'll see. So don't get excited about him. Watch the combine will be interesting. I want to see him run the gauntlet. I want to see him run the 40.
He should do well with that.
I hope so. I hope he doesn't. When you run the gauntlet, like, it is showtime. And I think everything else goes out the window and instincts kick in. So if he can catch the ball and absorb it in front of his body, awesome. If he starts to let it creep in, then I'll be a little more concerned and worried that what I saw on the first and second times through his tape is true. And if that's the case, tape, you are who the film says you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna do him in.
One of the guys I was interested in while I was watching Peoples-Jones was the Nico Collins. I think he's going to be interesting coming out next year. He's a bigger guy. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3", 222 pounds. He's been the best Michigan receiver for the last couple of years. I know it was Peoples-Jones, Tariq Black, and Nico Collins, and Tariq Black is actually transferring. So
Tariq Black is transferring? I did not know that.
Yep.
Did he decide on a school yet?
I think 24/7 had as a crystal ball at either BC or Syracuse or something like that, but it wasn't anywhere that was any good.
What quarterback is going to BC? Oh, I'm blanking right now. Somebody transferred to Boston College.
I believe you, but I don't know who it is.
Oh, hold on. Hold, please. Let's see. Boston. I'm Googling this on the spot. And while I'm Googling, have you thought of the right running back who played at Arkansas yet?
No, I have not. I sure have not. I've been thinking on it long and hard.
I'll tell you at the end before we sign off.
Okay.
Because I want to get that on air. Who transferred to Boston College? Oh, Phil Jerkovich from Notre Dame.
From Notre Dame.
That's who transferred to BC.
Yeah.
So if he goes to BC, that's interesting because I think Phil can play quarterback. I'm a Notre Dame fan. We'll give that to the world. But let it be known, I wasn't big on Will Fuller. I did like Kaiser. I apologize.
How do you feel about Gunnar Kiel?
I didn't like Kiel's hair. That was a real turnoff for me. I didn't love the bleach blonde. He was kind of what his name was. Decent arm. A little wild.
Couldn't stay healthy.
Definitely couldn't stay healthy. I'm ready to get somebody else. Ian Book needs to go, though. He's not going to win us a championship, but he's going to get us to the Camping World Bowl. Even though we went 10-2, which is still horseshit. So I could have told you that was easy money. I put $100 down on that money line, and that was awesome.
Who did they play?
Iowa State.
Oh,
this year.
No.
This year, Iowa State. No David Montgomery. No Hakeem Butler, even though we didn't like Butler.
I didn't have a problem with Butler. Speak for yourself.
I didn't like Butler. You liked Hakeem Butler?
I didn't hate him.
Okay, I hated him. I thought he was terrible. Another guy who blocked me on Twitter.
They still have
Purdy's not bad. Purdy's not bad. He's interesting. He's better when he gets out of the pocket and when it kind of breaks down. He is a goodwill Joe Burrow. Better
Speaking of guys who are great outside the pocket, Shea Patterson, not.
Oof.
When the play breaks down, he is just no thank you. No thank you. You gotta do the two fingers. Hashtag.
Oh, hashtag.
You need to start watching. You need to watch How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, I don't watch that show.
I literally sent it in a group chat we were in a GIF earlier, so.
You mean GIF?
No, I sent it in a GIF.
That's for you, Zach.
I actually sent it in response to Zach.
Yes, so Shea Patterson bad, Brock Purdy decent, Joe Burrow great. that's the scale of quarterbacks we're going to start using now. But yes, weird tangent to the end. So that is going to be all for us on episode 7, even though it feels like we're on like 12 or 13. Regardless,
we're just giving so much information every episode feels like 2.
It feels like 2, honestly. You get 2 players, and especially now after the Dummies, what do they call it? A rookie scouting bonanza?
Bonanza, yes.
Which is too close to scouting brief.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too close to scouting brief. So we're gonna file some complaints in that complaint department.
I'm gonna send out a cease and desist
over at the DFPN. Maybe we'll get some money. I need to pay off some student loans. But that being said, we're gonna wrap this up. So Michael Warren, Donovan Peoples-Jones, come talk to us about them. If you like them, tell us why. If you don't, tell us why you agreed with us. And like we always say, send us who you want to hear about. Some lower guys now, guys that are probably going to be day 3 picks in the NFL, maybe sneak into day 2. We'll talk more about that range of players. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Fat Mormon, who could not remember Peyton Hillis's name.
Peyton Hillis, come on.
Peyton Hillis could not remember his name. 6'1", 250, and ran a 4.57 at the Combine. Combine coming up this week is going to be exciting. We're going to see how tall these guys really are.
I think it's next week.
Are you sure? I think it's this week.
I'm pretty sure it's next week.
I'm pretty sure it's this week. We will get back to you. The Combine is in the next 2 weeks. Either this week or next week. We're not sure.
It's next week.
Matt says it's next week, but he couldn't remember Peyton Hillis' name, so Matt has no credibility tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at DTC_Riley B. Go follow the rest of the DFPN, the Dummies Funhouse Podcast Network. Go follow those members, Kyle, Zach, J. Mike, that Cotillo guy, and the rest of the old Funhouse fellas. Go follow them. Also, Russ Fisher. Go check out that new podcast, the Split Takes pod with Kevin and Russ. I'm sure Russ's takes are great. I'm sure Kevin's are bad. But go listen to that show. That is brand new, and it's a great one. This has been another episode of the Dummies Scouting Brief, and we will see you next week after the Combine.
Doodles!